Welcome to the Learning Center. I'm Lilly Travellini, the host. I've been on a little vacation, but I'm back now. And I have come back with the most remarkable woman I've ever met, who's an energy healer. Please meet Yuliya Cohen, right? Is that the, Yuliya Cohen is fine, right?
Yuliya Cohen is my translation of my Russian name into English, but my original name is Yuliya.
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 I'll never get my tongue around that.
That's okay. And that's how, in the healing community, that's how I'm known. I'm known as Yuliya.
So, Yuliya, tell me how you began. Well, where were you before you became an energy healer?
Well, I have quite an interesting career. I come from Russia. My Russian accent is from there.
Yeah.
And I was born into a family of physicists. And so, as everyone in Russia, you make your career out of engineering, out of some kind of science.
Everybody?
So I think it kind of was expected that, you know, you have a career, you make money, and you do something real.
Yeah.
So I was studying engineering, and the kind of engineering I was studying was heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and plumbing. I was a
They make a lot of money
Russian
here in the
woman
United
engineer
States.
doing that, right? So, you know, there's always a backup career, right?
Yeah.
So, so it was not something probably I have done by choice, but looking back, it gave me a very interesting foundation, very unusual foundation for a healer in terms of thinking how the physical world really works. And it really, in the hindsight, it really affected the way I think and the way I approach healing. For instance, the healing paradigm and therapeutic paradigm right now is very much based on release, right? So everybody says if something is on your way, if something is not working in your body, you need to release, you need to let go.
Well, I don't hear that so much. I hear, go see a doctor, and then he writes out a prescription and gives you a drug with many side effects that if it doesn't heal you, it certainly can kill you.
Right. Well, that's if you go to a medical doctor, but if you go to a traditional therapist, or even if you go to a healer, they will encourage you to just let go of the story, let go of your tension, let go of your blocks. And what you realize in doing plumbing and heating in designing the systems is that anytime you let go, it's like you drain the system, right?
Well, you know, let's make sure our audience understands that you didn't actually do plumbing and heating.
I was designing.
You designed.
I was designing the industrial systems, but in designing, you understand how the systems work.
Right.
And so, for example, is if you have a heating system and you need to clean it up, so you drain it, you kind of let go of things. But if you let go, you have less. So you cannot just turn the system to function again, you need to fill it up. So what is really important, both in mechanical systems and in human system, to make sure is that your energy level stays full. Because if it's not full, if your energy is not, if you don't have all the energy you need for your body to function, your body is not functioning properly. So, and anytime you release or let go, there's a risk of losing energy.
So how does one, like a layperson such as I am, know that? Is that when you start feeling tired? Is that telling you your energy is low? Yeah.
And tired, but also anytime you had trauma in your life that caused you a lot. Well, just like think about your own life. Were there any significant events? Maybe death of someone.
Well, I lost an 8-year-old daughter to a virus.
Okay.
That's pretty traumatic.
Right. And shocking.
And shocking.
Right. So anytime you have...
I was only in my early 20s.
That's horrible. One should never lose a child.
No, and also you can't believe that the first death you really experience is your own child.
Right.
Usually it's your grandparents.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not prepared for that. So, so
We're
it's
not
shock.
prepared.
It's shock to the system, and kind of your world falls apart.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Right.
And you feel your life is over.
Right.
Yeah.
So what happens if you think about it in terms of mechanical system, just because for people it's really hard to understand sometimes, you know, the way energy works really.
I don't understand it
right.
all.
So what happens is, you lose energy because it's such a huge suffering for you.
Yeah.
It's something very hard to, you grieve, right?
Yeah.
You have to adjust your life to that. So it's kind of, you lose that energy, but you never get refilled because that particular energy is not there anymore. So every trauma that cost you so much, we come out and we're kind of never the same. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you have a sense that you just sort of not exactly the same as you were before that?
You can never go back to that?
You can.
You can.
You can.
This is what you do.
And that's what I do.
You bring us back.
Right. So we say that nothing can be done once it's in the past, and it's so far from being true. So not only we can do something, we must do something. And part of the system that I've developed is how to recover that energy. Not find new energy, but to recover the energy that we lose the trauma.
Yeah.
And so that's where the understanding of principles of energy flow and thermodynamics comes along, which is laws of physics, which say if you lose energy, it doesn't disappear. It's just not in your container.
Where does it go to?
It's just somewhere in some shape and form, and physicists now know about.
My particular energy is somewhere else?
It's somewhere else. And so it's kind of in quantum field. It's in the field around you.
Really?
But it's not in your own container.
Yeah.
And your container keeps track
Is it
of that
attached to
energy.
you?
It's still attached to you.
Still attached.
But just not here supporting your physical body to be healthy.
So as you look at me or anybody,
that's what I look for.
Yeah, as you look at me now, do you see my energy?
Well, like again, energy can be in very different forms. So when you see energy, the question is, what exactly do you see?
Yeah, what exactly do you see?
So what I look for largest losses of energy.
Yeah.
That's what I look right away, because if we recover that, then many physical or emotional problems just go away on its own.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to see that process, you can see it, and then you can see it re-entering my...
There are certain principles which I teach to people.
Yeah.
That actually you set your body up that the body recovers the energy on its own.
I see.
And it's effortless, because we really never completely know what exactly happened, but your body, in fact, your energy field, we have an energy field around us, and I will, tell more about that. That keeps track of everything that happened in your life. So
everything?
Everything, yeah.
So from the time I was a little child?
Yeah, you can, it tracks.
Anybody, I mean, I was a little child, but everybody, and there's nobody that escapes without trauma.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's all being tracked within your energy field.
Like say you get just a cold, that's traumatic?
If there was loss of energy.
Yeah.
So anything, maybe something is traumatic to one person and not traumatic to another person. So the difference is really how much energy you lost to it.
So in other words, but so many people are out there not knowing that.
Exactly.
Does it automatically come back without your help?
It does sometimes. Most of the time it doesn't.
It doesn't.
And I think a lot of it accounts for how we age.
Yeah.
Because we're just leaving more and more energy behind, so we're kind of dragging it almost, like it's still attached to it, but it's now becomes a heavy weight rather than something that's inside of our body, healing us and nourishing us.
So going back now, how did you discover this? What made you leave that beautiful job of designing, whole systems and turn to something that was going to be helpful to humanity, much more healthy than plumbing?
Yeah, so the story began with coming to United States, but before I go, this is my really favorite metaphor for explaining the energy so that people really get it. Yeah. So for example, and this is an advantage of me, learning the plumbing, being a plumber. I called it, some clients called me a psychic plumber.
Okay, plumber.
Right.
Yeah.
For example, if you have a problem in your bathroom and a bathtub leaked,
Yeah.
right?
That's happened.
It happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you come in, and the water is not on the floor anymore.
It
It's
evaporates.
the floor looks dry, but you know that the bathtub leaked, right?
Yeah.
So did that water disappear? Probably not.
No.
Most likely, like for somebody who is trained in plumbing, you go on the floor below
Yeah.
and you look what the damage is.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just because you don't see it, it doesn't mean it's there. It's just somewhere else. So this is kind of to answer your question.
Yeah.
Just because we don't see something around us while
It's gone.
our life had a breakdown, like a loss of a child,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that our energy is gone. It doesn't mean that our connection to the child is gone.
That's right. But, well,
It's just,
once it-
everything is just kind of like in a different place.
Yeah. So you mean my child is living somewhere in a different way?
In a different way, and have you ever felt like you've been in touch with her in some way?
Not so much. See, I was so young, and it was such. In fact, it took me 2 or 3 years to get out of that terrible darkness.
You didn't want to go back there, right?
But the thing is, I had 2 little children, survivors. My daughter was only 5, the next one, and my baby was 10 months old, so they were very demanding of me. And they helped me get back into the routine of everyday life, and you have to feed them and bathe them and, all the things that you teach them, that kind of thing. That helped. But if I hadn't had them, as some parents, don't have any, so I say crutches to help you, that must be really bad.
So what you're saying that because it was so hard to deal with, like almost impossible for
Well,
you.
I actually thought of suicide.
Yeah.
Because, and I'll be very frank, and I
Right.
don't know if I should be, I thought my husband's young. In a few years he can get married again and find a mother for these children. But my baby's all alone. I should be there with her.
There.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you wanted to do, you want to go towards her.
Yes.
Over there,
Yeah.
rather than bring her
Into
towards
me.
you,
Yeah.
into you.
Well, I didn't think I could bring her in.
Yeah. Would you like to do it?
Sure.
We could do it now.
All right. Let's show the cameras and the audience. I hope there's an audience watching us, all right?
And the reason I'm saying that just like a week ago,
Yeah.
somebody contacted me. I do a lot of work by phone all over the country and other countries.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because I see energy, and when you see energy, it doesn't matter whether the person is sitting.
Could anybody
Next
learn to do this? You could,
I teach it. I'm actually love teaching. I'm a very good teacher. And if something that I know,
they could do it and help other people.
yeah. If I know something, I can teach it.
Yeah.
Because when I know, I really try to understand how it works.
Yeah.
And because I understand all the steps of how it works, I
Yeah.
can teach someone else. So this woman who contacted me, she had an abortion when she was 14 years old,
Oh,
which is way too early.
yeah.
And not only that was early because it was a shock, but the person who examined her, it's a terrible story, was her father.
Oh,
Because he was the only OBGYN in a little town
Yeah.
where she lived.
yeah,
And her father was very conservative.
yeah.
So when he was examining her, he was very angry. So he put like all that anger of his own feelings into her
That she has sinned so terribly, right?
that he sent to so you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah.
Right. And so that energy was there in addition to having to go through an abortion when she was 14.
Had she already gone through it?
No, she was examining her first.
Yeah.
So she had that trauma, and then she had to go through abortion, and then nobody ever talked about
He
it.
examined her to see that she was pregnant.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And So that affected her body in a way that she couldn't even be sexual the rest of her life. She's in her late 50s, and she married someone who wasn't sexual either because he had his own trauma. So that's how she got around it. But she's a very beautiful woman and a healer. And then she started having physical symptoms in the body, in her uterus. So she realized that she needed to address it. She never wanted to go back there.
Yeah.
And I have a special system I developed for healing effects of abortion and miscarriages for people who needed to do it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And at the end of the healing, and she said to me all she hoped was to just like get rid of that memory, get rid of that suffering and the energy and the pain. But at the end of the session, I asked her if she ever connected to the baby. And she said she never did because she was so traumatized, but then she was 14, it was even too much to think about it. Like she didn't even want to think about the trauma, but to think about the baby was way too much. Yeah. And I said to her, in order to finish it, we need to connect to it. But I said it's going to be a beautiful experience. Okay. And when we connected to the energy of the baby, which it doesn't matter how many years have passed, because she was 14, she's in her late 50s, right?
Yeah.
Turns out that energy was such a high level of consciousness energy. It was not a baby. It was not even someone who needed to who needed to be born. It was really something on a very high vibrational level.
So what does that mean?
So when that energy came through her, her whole body started glowing.
Really?
And she was on the phone and I could feel it, and she said, my body is glowing. She said, all my cells are glowing, the glow is coming through my skin.
Wow.
And then she said, I feel like I'm weightless. And she said, I feel like I'm ascending. I feel like I'm kind of floating, just bathed in God's love.
You can have me experience this right now?
I don't know if that will be the same, but you know what I'm saying? Like that was a different circumstances. And I think for me, examples like that, because she's a healer now, and I almost felt that that was a case that showed us, we have so much judgments against what abortions mean, and about the fact that we're killing the babies, you know? Like people have fight about it, pro-life, pro-choice, where when you really do healing, the reality sometimes is very different. And for us to understand that no matter what we do, for whatever reasons, there's this grace, there's this amazing grace that makes everything right.
I'm overwhelmed. I can't say I'm speechless because we have to keep talking, but
do you see what I'm saying?
New belief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That everything can be put right.
Yeah.
And it's like for her to, because the trauma was so devastating, to know firsthand that you can go in one session from the place that the best that you hope for is to have a little bit of less pain and suffering, and you go to that place of feeling cleansed and, you know, almost like resurrected. I think that's the best that I could see. She was a Catholic. The best that I probably could describe. It was the sense of ascension.
So, in other words,
and it was before the Easter, so it was very appropriate.
So you believe there's a greater entity out there that makes everything right?
I think that built in the fabric of the universe, there is a promise to make everything right. And you know, I'm coming from Jewish background in this lifetime, and in Kabbalah there's a notion, it's called tikkun olam, which is repairing the world. And what Kabbalah teaches, that everything you do, every act and every healing act, really it's not enough to make someone feel better, but you really are responsible for repairing the tears in the universe, in the fabric of the universe.
The whole fabric.
the whole fabric.
Yeah.
So we actually, it's not enough to just work here, but as part of working here, we need to go back in that time and space and sew it together and to repair it so that there are no tears. It's like tears in ozone layer.
Yeah.
You know, when something happens, it affects the universe in a much larger way.
So you can demonstrate that right now?
Well, I don't know what will happen because we didn't have it planned,
Yeah.
but we're going to ask for,
So our viewers can see whatever happens, right?
yeah.
So what do you want me to do? Okay.
And the reason I suggested to you, because when we start talking about her, I started feeling her presence.
You did?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah. And she was like right above you. And
What does she look like?
she doesn't look like a baby. She actually looks like someone in her 30s now.
Yeah.
But we could see what you feel when that energy comes in.
Okay.
Maybe it's interesting because you were in your 30s when she
What?
when she passed over.
No, I was in my early 20s.
In your early 20s, okay. And what she said is that, and tell me if it's true or not, that when you were with her, there was a connection between you and her in your heart.
Yeah.
And when she died, the best that you could do to survive is not to break that connection. Not that you broke it, but you couldn't feel it.
Yeah.
You didn't break it actually,
No.
but it's just kind of got like there's a damp on it.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes.
And she said you don't need to do anything, but what she's going to do, she's going to bring your energy in your heart and open that connection again.
Oh, I see. And you're the person who can connect it, right?
It's happening right now.
It is?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you don't need to do anything. You just need to
Just so you
let it come in.
Yeah.
Let it come in. And as she's coming in, just say to her, "This is the best I could do
This is the best I could do.
at that time,
Yeah.
in order to survive, in order not to go out with you."
Mm-hmm.
It was either leaving and going with you, or not feeling it in my heart.
Yeah.
My heart couldn't take it.
Well, you know, when she was 5, and I guess most people are afraid of dying. I was terrified. Everybody is, you know.
Yeah,
And I never wanted to go by a cemetery.
yeah,
And she said to me, "Mommy, you shouldn't be afraid of dying because that's the only way you're going to see God."
she knew that.
And
yeah.
I said, "Who have you been talking to? I don't like that kind of talk."
Yeah.
She said, "I'm sorry, Mommy. I'm
So
sorry."
have to say that to her to you now.
Yeah,
It's like she's saying the same thing. If you feel me, it will not be scary.
yeah,
You will not feel death. You will feel God. You'll feel light. That's what I'm getting now.
yeah,
So she said, "Don't be afraid to let me in."
yeah. So her energy will, is that
What are you feeling in your heart right now?
kind of tight.
Not in the heart. It's tight below.
Yeah,
Your heart has opened up,
yeah,
but it's tight below because now you're afraid of the emotions.
yeah,
But you feel the heart, it was very gentle.
yeah,
And the emotions, if she comes in, it will be as gentle.
yeah.
So just tell her, "I'm afraid to feel," because I think it will be very painful.
Well, I am afraid to feel. I mean, it's
Yeah.
something such a,
Strange concept.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
And you
it's,
don't need
scary.
to. Yeah, but what we don't need to feel right now is we don't need to feel what happened. All we want to feel is her.
Yeah,
So say, I'm afraid to feel what I used to feel,
yeah,
what I felt then,
Yeah.
right? But I want to feel you.
that's right.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah.
All I want to do is to feel you.
Yeah.
And that's not scary
No.
because I already felt you in my heart,
Right.
and that felt okay.
Yeah.
And you can come deeper in me, inside of me,
Right.
because I've always wanted to be connected to
Wow.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling the energy is coming in, and there was some trauma almost to your womb,
Really?
Because it almost, just tell me, this is what I'm getting, that it's like your womb gave her birth, but she didn't live.
Yeah.
And there was some trauma to the womb itself that it gave birth to something that couldn't live.
Yeah.
Do you think you were afraid when you were pregnant again?
No.
No?
Not really. No.
Okay.
I welcomed. I had.
Welcomed. All right.
With her, I had 5 children. You know.
Okay.
I had.
So let's just
more.
say whatever fears are still here that we might not put the right words on.
Yeah.
Let her energy cleanse and heal it.
Yeah. I see.
Because there was such love between you and her.
Oh yeah.
And why not have it in your whole body?
Mm-hmm.
Just the love.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Wow, that's amazing.
How is your...
Relaxed. I feel very
relaxed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And now...
This can happen to anybody that's lost a child in whatever way.
Lost anything. Yeah. That's repairing. That's the tikkun olam. That's repairing.
So this is a big part of your practice then.
Repairing everything.
Yeah.
I'm still that plumber. I come in and I repair everything.
Yeah.
And now it's just here, but if you feel there's a tension in your first chakra, in the base of your body, do you feel there's still a fear?
Yeah.
And that fear has to do with losing someone.
Yeah. Very fearful.
Very fearful.
Yeah, that's
of losing.
the way I feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very fearful.
And so just say her, I'm so fearful after what, I was fearful before, but after you died, I became even more fearful.
Right.
And so ask her whatever you can do with that fear, because you know more, because she knows God more.
Yeah, I'm getting to feel very shaky, like, too.
The shaky because you're feeling your body more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And see that, before you and I talked, you were saying something about some physical problems that you have.
Yeah.
And a lot of the problems are because we're not in the body fully.
Yeah.
So this is going to help you get healthier.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what are most of your cases that you deal with?
We're not done. I know you want to
I know.
help everyone, but let's finish it.
Yeah.
So because what we want to do, we want to bring you all the way in.
Yeah.
Right? Because one of the problems you said you have in your feet.
Yeah, my right foot.
Your right foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how far we need to go.
Really?
Yeah.
Down to my right foot.
To both feet, but particularly the right one. Yeah.
Right.
So
now I'm feeling something in the back of my head.
Right. It's part of you.
Yeah.
So another thing that happens when there's shock, part of us jumps out.
Really?
Yeah.
Because my head feels really weird.
Yeah. So now that part of you that jumped out is coming back in because it's safe.
It'll come back in.
So it's you coming back in.
Yeah.
But you're not used to it. Your face is changing, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah.
Like what is it looking
You're
like?
just like, I think it feels like has more color and more presence.
Yeah.
And you're closer to me. You're like more here.
Yeah.
Right. So let's ask your daughter again and say whatever fear you're holding, right?
Yeah.
About losing people, about death.
Oh yeah.
Ask
I have a big fear about losing people.
Yeah. Ask you to come in and feel that place with that energy of her knowing what it's like. Because we don't know, you and I
Ask
don't
her
know.
to come in.
And feel it with that knowing. It's like she's a bridge.
Yeah. So you can come in. I'm ready to accept you.
I just feel something in your hands. Did
Really?
you feel it?
Yeah, there is something, yeah.
And I'm feeling you more. Before you felt like more pulled in, and now more of you is coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and say and bring that knowing to heal that fear that I have, because it's locking my body and it's not letting me be healthy, and I would like to be as healthy as possible while I'm here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And please send that energy all the way down to my feet, especially the right foot, so that it could heal too.
Yes. I can feel I can actually feel my foot going up and down without me doing it.
Yep.
Isn't that is, look at it.
Yep.
It's moving up and down.
It's moving up and down. I'm feeling that energy, and I feel the energy in your hand too.
Yeah.
Before I felt like you just had the hand, and now there's a flow of energy, and I can feel you.
Yeah.
And I'm getting all warm.
Yeah.
You're getting warmer?
Yes.
It's much warmer, right?
Right.
It felt colder before and
I
more
never
constricted.
expected this to happen, really, at all.
You don't.
I thought we'd talk about all your cases in the book you wrote.
Well, you know, people talk. Everybody can talk.
Right.
The question is, what can you really do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's lifting up by itself.
Yeah, it's lifting up. And before it felt like it was hard to move it.
Well, I mean, but this is, I'm not moving it.
It's moving by
voluntary,
itself.
like, you know.
I think your nervous system has opened, so there's more communication.
That's it. I feel like my nerves are really traveling all over.
Traveling all over. So the sensations in your body.
Yeah.
More of the sensation.
Right.
Yeah. So you take something that was such an unbelievable trauma.
Yes.
And you don't. It's so big that you don't even want to go and think about it.
Yeah.
Because you think in traditional ways, if you go, you'll have to remember it, you have to re-experience, you have to talk about it, you have to do nothing like that.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And now I want you to ask that that energy that's coming in is not just coming into your whole body, but it comes in the energy field that's around us.
Yeah. So I should do that?
Yeah. And actually, and I'm going to show a picture afterwards to the audience. Our energy field is as big as this.
Everybody's?
Everybody's, yeah.
What? Way up there?
No, spread your arms like all the way.
Yeah.
And straighten your fingers as much as you can.
Like that?
Yeah. And what it is, it's, do you know a drawing by the Vitruvius?
The what?
Vitruvius Man by Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh, yeah.
Where a man stands like this, and there's a circle.
He thought of that?
Yeah.
He knew that? He was a genius.
Well, it's known in all the traditions.
Really?
Yeah. So we have a field that's that big, and so what I want you to do, I want you to ask that the same energy that came through your body, she puts in your whole field, like she wraps you with it.
Okay.
Like a warm, fluffy blanket.
Okay, I want that energy to come back into what?
You want her wrapped around you.
I want it wrapped around me.
Yeah.
It should come back into my body.
Yeah, and just wraps around you.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You feel some warm and fluffy?
Yeah, I feel, yeah. It's like, I can feel it right to my fingertips.
Yeah.
Is that the way it feels?
And it doesn't feel like it's empty here anymore,
No.
right?
So, do I have to keep doing it every day, or?
No, it's done.
It'll never leave me now?
No, she's in.
No?
This is, we've restored connection that should have been there naturally if people knew how to repair that.
Yeah.
It's natural to have that. It's not natural to live in that loss.
So all our viewers should put their arms out now
and feel the edge of their field.
Yeah.
And so I have this book which is all about these principles that I wrote.
Yeah.
And it's called Energetic Boundaries. You haven't seen it yet?
Yeah. No, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Let's hold it up for
It's
the
called
camera.
Energetic Boundaries, a New Paradigm for Effortless Healing.
Yeah.
And so the boundaries is really that it's that size of the field, and there's a membrane around it, just like our cells have.
Out there's a membrane around.
Right.
So why does it leave us?
So
do we break it?
This is the drawing by Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah. But do we break
and
that
I want
boundary?
to show it to
the camera.
To the camera.
Yeah.
And so the way you do, you stand like this, and then you spread your arms out,
Right.
and you have to make sure not to fold your fingers.
You have to hold them out like this?
It's really need to be like that.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, because that's where the edge is.
So I hope the camera's picking this up.
Picking us up, right? And people can, stand at home and, try that
How
on
often
size.
should you do that?
Well, when I discovered it for the first time, like most of the people, I was kind of walking around like this, and I looked at it and I said, oh my God, all this space is mine. This is like so much space.
Yeah.
But now I live in this much space.
Always, yeah. It never goes away.
It's just kind of like our spine and our bones. It never goes away. We might not be occupying it completely. So the amount of energy can go up and down.
So we can how do we occupy it completely?
That's why I'm saying on a daily basis we need to check that space and see if any energy leaked.
Yeah. How can you tell if it left?
Well, that's first of all, you need to know that we have the space and learn how to watch it. Yeah. Because if you don't know what to watch for, there's no way of telling you. So now
you're going to tell us what to watch for.
Let me see what I want to do next, because I feel... Right. So I just want to make sure of something else. Yeah. So one thing is we have the space, and then we lose energy. When we lose energy, it collapses. Another point was when you felt the pressure in your head. Yeah. Whenever we're shocked, a part of us jumps out, kind of like this.
Yeah. So that's what happened to me.
Yeah, and it actually jumps out and it gets stuck out of the body. So in the intense traumas, we have two things. We lose our energy, it leaks out, and we also jump out.
We jump out?
We jump. Parts of us.
Oh, yeah.
Parts of this field jump out. Yeah. And a lot of the times it just gets stuck there. And because, so you lost energy here, and a lot of you pulled out like that, the organs in the rest of the body become more vulnerable for disease and dysfunction. And so it could be anything. And there's another system that I'm finishing the book about it, and I have a retreat that's happening the weekend of May 1st in Lenox at the place called Eastover. It's on my website, and the website name is Healing Without Effort. Which is what we do, all the healing
without effort.
Healing without effort. Was it effortful what we did?
Yeah. Well,
when we brought your daughter in, was it effortful?
What about people that are aging? That means they're losing.
Lily, let's finish with that part. I just want to make sure that the part came in.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So we also have a mechanism. They're like gates in the body that when the energy jumps out, they lock behind. And I'll talk more about it. I just don't want to give too much information right away. Yeah. So we need to make sure that that energy came in completely as well. Yeah. So we connected you to your daughter. Yeah. And now let's ask that energy. So say when this happened, a part of me jumped out because I was shocked.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. So
and now that I know that this can be repaired, and it was beautiful and gentle, I want to tell that part that it's safe to come back in now.
Okay. So what do I say?
Just say it, please come back in.
It came back in?
No, say please come back in.
Oh, yeah. Please come back in.
It's safe now.
Please come back in.
It's safe now.
It's safe now.
Yeah, I couldn't ask you to come back in before because there was still a lot of fear and loss in my body. Right. Right?
Yes, but now it's safe to come back in.
Right.
The energy.
Yeah, because my heart, that blocked, that memory has opened as my daughter connected to me. Yeah. Right?
That energy has been unblocked.
Right. So you can come in my heart.
Right.
I can come back in my heart.
I can come back in my heart.
Yeah. And my emotional center, that was so afraid of...
That's the third chakra?
Yeah.
Is that the emotional?
The third chakra and between the third and second, yeah. And this emotional center that was so afraid of remembering what happened knows that we don't need to do that. Yeah. That what's important is...
to be afraid of.
Well, what's important is to repair, not to remember what happened and how it happened. What's the point? Yeah. At this point, we just want to repair, right?
So we have repaired it.
And because it's repaired, say to that part of you, it's safe to come back in.
You can come back in because it's repaired.
It's safe now.
It's safe now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And because I still have some fear about that, but not as much, right? It doesn't feel as scary now.
No, it's not as scary now.
please come in and that part of my body as well.
That part of my body
which
as
is
well.
your first chakra.
Yeah, the first chakra.
And the first chakra is vitality.
It's vitality?
So if that part of you that jumped out comes into your first chakra, you'll be more vital.
Yeah. Oh, good. It'll be fine now.
Yeah,
It'll
so I really
away.
Could use you now.
It'll never go away again.
Say, God knows I need all the vitality I can use right now, right? With all the issues that are going on. Because I don't want to go to doctors, as you said, and take medications.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And what medication can do this anyway?
No.
Right.
Yeah.
And now I have this problem with my right foot.
Right.
So please make sure as you come back all the way into my right foot so that it can get healed.
Right. That's good.
And so that my circulation is restored.
The red circulation is to be restored.
And as you come back in, my own energy that jumped out, I also want you to remember that I've learned today I have this big energy field.
Yeah. It's all back again, all whole?
Yeah.
Good.
And I want you to come back all the way.
I want you to come back all the way.
In.
All the vitality.
Yeah.
Wow.
So all the way to my fingertips, all the way to my toes,
in
my whole field, all the spaces in between.
Yeah. So if I feel anything leaving me, I have to do this, right?
You need to so it's leaving because it's scared or shocked.
Right.
And then you need to invite it back in. So think about it. It doesn't jump out just because there are big events like this. Every time we hear news, like, you know,
news.
The German pilot, you know, flying the plane.
Us.
Yeah. So every time, it's like any time if anybody thinks, oh, I was so shocked when I heard that, it means a part of you jumped out.
So do you know which part? You don't know which part?
It doesn't matter. I just want you to remember to invite it in. And this mechanism that I will be teaching in May allows you to do that because it's a very essential mechanism to stay healthy.
So when we watch the news, say the 6 o'clock news, and it's bad, part of us leaves?
On every news. On every news that's shocking to us.
So you have to invite it back in.
Right. So what's happening, people who watch a lot of news and with all these events going on, more and more people become anxious. More and more people develop different symptoms.
Right.
And then they go to the doctors and the doctors don't know what's going on. But it's really because more and more of parts of us are not in the body because it's constantly this, you know, life stresses, which we had before, but now on top of it, the world is a very unsafe place.
One thing I noticed in my personal life is we go to the mall now, and I look around and I think, we're sitting ducks here, because I've heard mall after mall being attacked and people shot. So it even took the pleasure of the mall away.
So it's every time it's an additional stress.
So I should have done the thing about inviting it back in.
Well, what happens is once you develop, what I call my system is developing energy mastery and energy intelligence. Once you become aware of all the structures, and most of them are described in this book, and that jumping out structure is I'm teaching at the workshop, and I'm working on the book. Once you know that, there are principles in this book on how to use your field to actually check if something is going to happen or not.
Let's do some of that right now, all right? Because that's interesting. We can check and we'll know if something's going to be happening. So what you have to do to realize something's going to happen?
So I would like to do that, but what I'm getting right now is because we did such a big piece of work with you, I feel you need to just stay with that.
Okay.
Maybe I can talk about it. I'm not sure that.
Why don't we talk about some of the cases that you've used your technique?
Right. So let's. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just getting the message, I need to leave you alone.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy. You had such a big experience, and we don't hold it.
Yeah.
We try to shift into something else.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling that
but
reluctance.
I want our audience to hear some of the things that you're able to do.
But let me give you like really great examples. So
they're good examples. Yeah.
Right. So
because
what's going on?
Somebody out there might have the same thing going on.
Yeah. So what's going on? A lot of families have problem with their children.
Oh yeah.
A lot of children are on drugs because it feels like they're too anxious, and they can cope with life. And I don't know about Framingham, but at least in Newton, there've been a lot of suicides.
Oh yeah.
So the suicide is kind of the same thing that I was telling you about. It is when there's too many stressors that are now on young people who are born being more sensitive. Like this generation is particularly sensitive. So they actually feel energies around them.
Right.
They're just born in a different way. Right. But they don't know how to navigate it. So a lot of parts of them jumped out. And once they jump out of the body, it's like you said, when there was that shock, you said, I don't want to live anymore, I don't care. And you had to convince yourself for why you would care to come back into life. Right. But remember, there was that moment when you said, I don't care anymore.
I wanted to be with my baby.
You just want to be with your baby.
Yeah.
So there's a place when we jump out enough, when the voice in your body says, I'm not here, I don't care. And that's what happens with these children where they become suicidal. It's not because they don't have close family, it's not because they don't have friends. They just get into that place where it kind of doesn't matter anymore. It's not a big deal to take that extra step.
Well, I know someone I heard of indirectly. He's 19, he is on heroin. And somebody asked him, how many, something about friends, his friends. Well, they were having a party, where are your friends? He said they all committed suicide. He was the only one left in that age group because they'd gone on to heroin.
Right. Yeah. Well, one of the things that happens with this kind of drugs, they also make you jump out.
They do.
Yeah, so that's why they say, I was taking a trip.
Yeah.
So you leave the body when you're already not in the body very much. And while you're there, it's like I'm saying, it's not a big deal to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm very much against young people doing drugs because I think it's really very dangerous. Mm-hmm. Even marijuana, they're trying to say like it's okay, but if you're out of your body, it's not that okay.
The worst thing they've done is to make marijuana legal, because it's always led to higher drugs. I've seen it happen.
I don't know if it's the worst thing. I mean, because like, I don't think people should go in prison for doing that. No. But I think the education should be that it doesn't have to be legal, but one shouldn't be saying that it's like okay. Yeah. Maybe it might be okay in some cases, like of illnesses where you don't have any other choices, but not really for young developing minds.
But you can heal them with your
So what we do instead, and I work with teenagers like that, and I actually have a testimonial on Yelp on the Energy Restructuring Institute, which is the name of my business.
Yeah.
Energy Restructuring, it's like putting energy back together, restructure it, institute. And it's a teenager, and she just said that basically the work that we've done has saved her life. Yeah. And what we've done is me teaching her these principles and me teaching her about the energy field. Every time she would come anxious about it, I would teach her to see what it really was. What is it that she was anxious about? And a lot of time we would find out that her anxiety was not irrational as her doctor would say, but it was actually about something important. In fact, she predicted the marathon bombing.
She what?
She predicted.
Oh, she did?
She did. Because a couple days before the bombing, she became very anxious and panicky. And and it sounded really crazy when she said, I think something is going to happen. I think somebody will throw a bomb.
Right.
So it sounded completely crazy. You have a teenager come to you. I think that, there's going to be a bomb thrown on Boston,
Yeah.
right? And something will happen to my legs.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stay home and I'm not going to go to gym to exercise. That was her idea.
Yeah.
And rather than making her crazy, I said to her, well, let's check what you're getting about the bomb. And I said, who do you think is going to throw the bomb? And she said, Korea. Because at that time, right before the Boston Marathon, the leader of Korea was threatening to do something.
That's right.
Yeah. And I said, let's, using these principles, check energetically if there's really going to be on that day, within that period, a bomb coming from Korea, and there was no bomb from Korea.
Well, I'm going to share something with you. I don't like to do personal things on the show, but you made me realize. Do you remember Christy McAuliffe? The astronaut that was the school teacher?
Right.
I saw them going on their capsule, and I said to a friend that was watching with me, it's going to explode.
It's explode. You saw that?
I said it. It's going to explode.
Yep.
So then, a few minutes later, they announced it. Not a few minutes. It was a little while later, and that person was shocked.
Right.
Yeah.
So what happens, at your age, when you were doing it, people didn't say you're crazy. They said, oh, okay. But when a teenager comes with something like that within a school, and she said, the bomb is going to be dropped on us, something will happen to my legs, they tell her she's psychotic, and they put her on extra medication.
Oh, boy.
So instead, I said to her, let's use the principles that I was teaching you, and let's check the information out. Let's not assume that you're crazy and you don't know what it's talking about. So it was clearly not career. So we checked it's not career. But she said, but it's still going to happen. And I said, yes, something is going to happen, but it's not going to be as big.
Well, who gives us that thought?
Because it's kind of already known. If you kind of at a different, you can navigate time in a different way. And in a sense, events that happen, it's kind of already known that it's happened beforehand. And what I get the guidance, because I started asking, so if I see things, what am I supposed to do? And I was told I need to attempt as much as I can to ask that the outcome is changed. Because they said some events you can change the outcome, but some you can't. If you have the premonition, if you can see what's going to happen, you can change the energy in the future, just like we just changed the energy in the past with you, right now. So we have kind of responsibility to become.
So how do you teach them to change something in the future?
Just like what we did, you try to eliminate the
so why
the obstacles.
Can't we stop these people that are beheading?
So what I'm saying, you can do certain things
to
a certain degree, but not necessarily everything, but we should at least try. So to finish with her, we started looking at why, if there's a bomb somewhere, why was she affected? Why is she picking this up? What kind of relationship it has to her? And what happened, they bought a house that was being renovated in Watertown that was 2 blocks away from where they found him. And so because it was her house, they went in there yet. She was speaking the energy of something that was going to happen in that area.
Wow, unbelievable.
Right. So what I'm saying, that these techniques that could be taught to young people to be more in the body and more respectful of their thoughts, rather than, everybody comes to me and say, I'm just crazy and I make no sense. And I said, we don't work that way. We work that you're not crazy and that everything you feel makes a lot of sense.
So of all the healing modalities out there, like tapping and all of them, this is the most successful. It can actually heal things that have never been healed before.
Well, the way I look at that, what I'm trying to figure out is actually very foundational information. Which means we have the structures, we have the field with the membrane that people don't have that concept. We have these 4 gates that regulate how our body jumps in and out, which is responsible for eating disorders, panic attacks, suicidal states, almost any physical condition that we have that medicine doesn't have an explanation for, is the result of parts of us jumping out. So you need to say that. Now, if you take all those basic principles and you put them in your toolbox, you can use them in conjunction with anything else you're trying to do. So if you want to do tapping and it to be really successful, you can use tapping along with, you see what I'm saying? These principles. Without it on its own.
Now, how can, if we're almost running out of time, but how can people reach you? Because you said you can heal, you can teach them over the phone, all over the world, right?
Yes, so basically the WOW sessions are a lot of the trauma like this one we can heal in one session. And in the process of healing, just like with you, I explain the person the principle so that not only they receive a healing, but in the future they can use that in their own life. And like again, the like to summarize is we don't need to run away from the past. The past can be repaired. It has to be repaired, and it doesn't need to be in a way that's re-traumatizing. And if somebody's re-traumatizing you, that's not the right way to do it. If somebody tells you to release too much and let go, that's not necessarily the right way to do it, because that's not about that. That's not about repairing.
So Yuliya, how could people reach you? Do you have a number that you can
People
share?
can reach me. My website is called Healing Without Effort, and which is, all the healings feel like that. My phone number is 617-731-9529. And I have a book which is called Energetic Boundaries, New Paradigm for Effortless Healing. If the healing is not effortless, it's not on the principles. That's kind of my motto. And I invite people, you know, this retreat, which really will transform everybody's life. And when the gates are integrated, almost 70% of physical and emotional symptoms just go away.
Well,
just
thank you so much for being here.
You're
I hope
welcome.
you come back, and I think there's so much material, more cases and
Thank you.
case studies, right?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the show. And remember, when you turn off the TV and go out in the world, make somebody you meet happy.
Hey, Coach Kaiser here, and I've got a fit tip for you. Begin with smaller machines when you start weightlifting. Small muscles tire before large ones, and that's why it's a good idea to start lifting barbells or dumbbells before tackling the larger machines. Hey, Coach Kaiser here, and here's a fit tip for you. As healthy eating has become increasingly popular, more and more prepackaged meals and food products have hit supermarket shelves. However, these healthy meals aren't as often good for you as the manufacturers would like you to believe. So if you want to get the maximum nutrition for foods you eat, you need to be cooking your own healthy, natural meals.